Hi guys, welcome back to Linda's Pantry. Today, oh my gosh, I'm super excited. We are going to be canning tomatoes. I'm going to be canning these beautiful Roma tomatoes. Now I picked those night before last. I have about that many that are not quite ripe, so I'll be doing 2 batches, but I want to wash these. I've already got a pot of boiling water. I'm going to blanch them to get the skins off. I'll show you everything I do. But literally, I'm canning whole Roma tomatoes in water with in quart jars. So I've got my wide mouth jars in my water bath canner. And you need a water bath canner that can go longer than 40 minutes because this is a 45-minute processing time, and that is coming from the Ball Blue Book and the National Center for Home Food Preservation, which I highly recommend you check everything you're going to do for safety, because as time goes by, we learn this could be safer. It's just like a seatbelt. Are you going to get in an accident? Maybe not. But what if that one time you didn't process it the way you were supposed to and somebody got sick? It's not worth that risk, nor is it worth risking not having your seatbelt on. Same principle in my book. So we're going to get to washing these and get them ready. I'm going to bring you in close so you can see what I'm doing. All right. I'm super excited. I've never canned whole tomatoes for you. And you can use them for sauce, for soup, for diced. Just scissor cut them. I used whole tomatoes. I love whole tomatoes in stew and in chili. It makes me so happy. And in spaghetti. It makes me so happy to get a whole tomato that's all mine. Nobody else gets to share that tomato. Anyway, all right. Let's do this. Okay, so before I forget, we are going to be using 4 Jars canning lids as well. And I have a link down below to their website. If you order, you get 10% off your order if you use the coupon code Linda's Pantry, all one word, no apostrophe. So you're literally going to take the bottom of the tomato and score an X right there. That is going to help and then down in the water it goes. So you want to be pretty quick. And this tomato knife is super sharp. That's by Rada. There's also a link down there for that. And just keep an eye on them because it literally takes about 40 seconds, sometimes even less, for these skins to start peeling back, and you know that tomato is ready. And my jars are hot. I will have hot lids because we do recommend, or 4 Jars recommends, that you heat the lids. And I've got, I already got tomatoes ready. Oh, there. See how the skin is already peeling off. So down in that cold water, boom. You almost can't do it fast enough, if that makes sense. It's so easy to just you don't want to cook the tomatoes. They're going to cook in the canning process. So we want these to go pretty quickly. Look at that. That's as fast, and just about as fast as I can put them in. And maybe I'll just score a bunch here first, and that way I can keep up with the program. But literally, I'm super excited about having these on my shelf and not having to buy so many tomatoes. Every time I go to Costco, I buy diced tomatoes. So why wouldn't I, if I've already grown them? We just don't go through the salsa as much and spaghetti sauce, and this gives me many more options. If I want to make spaghetti sauce out of these tomatoes, I can. You know what I'm saying? So I am excited. We're going to keep scoring just so we have. Okay, I've got quite a few now I can put down in the water. Oh, I'm super excited. There we go. Time to start taking some out. Okay, I'm just going to rinse and repeat this process as fast as this will let me. And then we're going to get these ready to jar up. And, yes, it's going to be great. That one's ready. And off we go. It's kind of a fire drill, if you will. You're gonna want to move pretty quickly. And even though it's a long process, how rewarding is this to have your own homegrown tomatoes on your shelf? Now, I'm going to get another bowl of cold water because this will stop. I mean, it's still cool to the touch. I just don't want it to get where the water's warm, if that makes sense. Okay, here we go. Yep, 2 there, there, there. Okay, I got 4 right there. We have hundreds to do. Oh, I'm so loving the fact that I have all these. What a real blessing this is. You, I mean, with the price of food and how things are going up and up, it just keeps going up. And it's going to get worse before it gets better, I'm afraid. But so I'm not wasting anything. I've just decided everything I produce out of my garden, we're consuming it one way or another. I will make sure that I don't waste any of it. Yeah, nice. Oh, yeah, that one's ready. Look at that. Somebody's losing their skin already. There we go. It's about 30 seconds. Okay, I'm going to get another bowl and I'll be back. Okay, back to tomato rally and a little bit of ice cube in this water just to see if it keeps it. I mean, these aren't literally getting that hot, and we're raw packing or cold packing these tomatoes. There's 2 ways to do tomatoes like this, and there's a hot method and a raw pack method, and I'm doing the raw pack. So I don't need to cook these tomatoes first, and I don't want to. So there you go. Some if you overfill your how many tomatoes you put in here at one time, you're going to end up behind the 8 ball. So that was a close one. Okay. Well, part of a leaf did not get off there. Okay, let's just cut all these. These won't be too bad. And as soon as I get this bowl full, or as full as I can get it, then I can start filling jars. Super excited. And this will take, I'm using citric acid. You can use lemon juice, but I like citric acid because I don't want to change the flavor of the tomatoes at all. I'm just looking to get the acidity level up. So I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'll bring you over when I'm loading jars. Okay, so I think we're ready to start filling some jars. And I'm just going to get my canner's nice and hot. So these jars, I filled them, and once they're full of tomatoes, they're going to be going back in here, but it will take up a different, it's like a different amount of room in the canner. So the water comes up, the water level. So I empty out a couple of them just to get us started. And my lids are soaking in hot water. Might have to put those right there. All right, I am more than excited. So my hands are clean. We're going to go ahead and get these skins. They peel right off. And I've got a little bowl for the skins. I am not going to worry about that stem end too much. Maybe I am. I'll just take that off. And in the jar it goes. And now I'm going to need a new paper towel for wiping the rims. I've got filtered water that I heated up in the microwave. So this is to wipe the rim of our jars, not for anything else. So we'll get the stem off of there. And you could do that before you blanch them. All up to you. Leave them on. When I get them typically from the store, they're still on there, that little stem. spot is still on there. So that's as simple as this is. It's a little labor intensive, but gosh, are they worth it? Yes. And they're still nice and firm. It didn't cause them to get mushy. You want a few small ones in here. Get all that skin off there. I am one of the people out there, and everybody's different, but I do not enjoy a tomato skin. That I eat them in my salads and all that. But if it's been canned and the skins get tough, they curl up. And even in commercial products, you'll find a skin. You'll find skin here and there. But please, I don't want skins in my tomato product. I just don't care for it. I've done it and found out that that's not a me thing. So I am going to stick to what I like and what I know. So my jars have been tempered since they've been sitting there in that hot water. And they'll go back in that canner waiting for the rest of the group of tomatoes. But look, you're getting a beautiful jar of tomatoes. I'm going to bring you in closer so you can actually get a better visual, I think. And you don't want to push them down and squish them too much. But you want to get a nice amount of tomato in each jar. And being as I haven't done this for you, I want to make it pretty. So if I see little spaces, that's when I pick out these little aromas here. Any of the tomatoes that I found that had a obvious blemish on it, and you're going to leave an inch of headspace. So I did not put that in the mix. I am not canning anything that has any blemishes on it whatsoever. So that jar of tomatoes, as far as I'm concerned, is ready. Let me rinse my hands real quick. And like I said, it's kind of a fire drill. So this is a beautiful jar of tomatoes. Look at that. Gorgeous. Now I am doing citric acid, and according to the ball book on page 355 of this bad boy, you will find the measurement for your salt, and I didn't even look at what the salt is. I am going to salt them. I believe salt is optional, but I really like salt. If adding salt for a teaspoon, and that's what I put. And I use kosher salt for this. I don't use canning salt. Canning salt, that would be a little salty to me. Citric acid, you're going to need a half of a teaspoon, which is exactly what that is. You can put that at the bottom of the jar. I like to put everything at the top. So when I pour that hot water in there, and a teaspoon of salt. Done. So I'm just going to continue on, and I can bring you in close so you can see everything. When I fill this with water, I will debubble a little bit, make sure that all the air pockets get filled in between the tomatoes. And after that, we're golden. Okay, let me get this. Ooh, that doesn't even have one. Yeah, those skins just slip off so nice and easy. It's wonderful. Beautiful. And here we go. All right. So tell me in the comments, did you can tomatoes this year? Are you going to can tomatoes? Did you put your excess tomatoes in the freezer? Last year, that's what I did. Everybody went in the freezer. And I just did projects later on, most of which were Mrs. Wage's spaghetti sauce, which I went through it all, and salsa and chili base, and all of that is wonderful. But I really want just plain tomatoes. And maybe before it's all over, I'll get another batch of Bloody Mary mix, because that is wonderful. I typically have it without vodka and just enjoy it's like a V8, because it's got the other vegetables in there and the spicy, and I love it. So, all right, I'm going to quit yammering and continue on with this. And we'll see how many jars I get out of this. I'm suspecting maybe it takes more tomatoes than you think. I want a full canner load though. So whatever I have to salvage over there. Oh, now this tomato has a hole in it. I don't know if you can see this. I didn't notice that. I am not using that tomato. That can go away. That can go. I don't even put, if I feel like it's got some kind of real problem that was from the growth, that was probably a wormhole, but of some sort. I knew there was one in there. I just couldn't find it. Found it. So doing this by hand too, you're inspecting. These aren't mechanically done like in the factories. They're on such a fast assembly line. If these are even done by humans anymore, they don't get inspected like this. You get what you get. And yeah, I would not cook these first. These are so beautiful. I really want. Um, yeah, each jar holds a lot. I'm excited. You think, oh, it's not going to hold very many, but it really does. So, and I think really and truly, these can sit here in these jars just like that, ready to add whatever I need to the water, and we'll call it good. Put a couple small ones here on the top and slide them on in there. Oh my goodness. Okay. There you go. Yeah, if you got to canned tomatoes this year, let me know because I'm so excited about this. It's hard to grow enough tomatoes to feed your family and have it. But when there's just two of you, or you can actually get it done pretty easily with a few plants. Now, next year I will have more plants out there, but I'll have more space. All right, I'm gonna rinse this out and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm putting the last 2 jars with the citric acid. I did have to do a few more um, in the to blanch the skins loose. I had to do that. So, but I have 7 full quarts, and there's only a few tomatoes left out of that batch. So I was pretty close to knowing I could get 7 quarts. My water is still hot, so I'm gonna pour this over. You definitely want to debubble, because you're gonna. Oh, look at all those bubbles coming up. You're gonna, and it's literally gonna create some tomato juice in here anyway. So you want 1 inch of headspace. And let me make sure that's what this book says, but I'm pretty sure maybe it's a little less. It says a 1/2 inch of headspace. Okay, cool. I got more room, which is about what I've got. Yep, that's exactly what I've got is a 1/2 inch of headspace. So perfect. I'm excited about that. I'm gonna get this rim wiped off. Oh, I am super excited about this. I can't even tell you. This is like something I've wanted to do for a while, but I haven't had Romas in a few years in the garden. If I did, I only had 1 or 2 because they flush all at once. You're getting your crop all at once. Look at this beautiful tomatoes. Oh, okay. In the canner it goes to wait for the rest of the crew. The canner is hot, but not boiling right now. That jar's been tempered, so it's okay. And I'm putting hot water in here to 1/2 inch of headspace, and we'll debubble, because we know we're gonna get some bubbles in here. The tomatoes have a little bit of air in them as well. I think I need a little more water. And that's how we do it. Rinse and repeat. Wipe your rim of your jar off. And get a nice tempered lid. And that's how we do it. Now, I did want to say salt is optional. I feel like tomatoes, it does tomatoes a favor to get some salt. So I'm going to give them salt. Anyways, look how beautiful. Gorgeous. Whole tomatoes going in. Okay, I'll be back when I've got this just about wound up. What I did want to remind you is because of the canning time, this is a long process. It's 45 minutes. You can't use a steam canner for this. They only can go to 40 minutes. And so I did want to put that through because you guys see me use my steam canner a lot. And I don't want you to be confused that you could do it in the steam canner. It doesn't typically, I got that one too full. It doesn't typically hold enough water. I'm just going to put it right in here because I don't need any more. I'm on my last jar. I need a 1/2 inch of headspace, not a 1/4. Okay. Wipe the rim. So I highly suggest to either print out, have it open on your tablet or your phone or whatever the case may be. You want to make sure that you have your resource locked in and because like I double checked and it was a 1/2 inch of headspace. So if I didn't have that and I just guessed an inch, that could cause issues. You don't want that. So always have your resources available to check time and what's going to happen with that product because we can forget. Yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Whole tomatoes. All right. In the canner she goes. It's the last one. And we're a little bit over the max fill line because the volume is different. So I want to get it to right there. And you can add this shield, keeps it from getting too crazy. I put the vent holes out away from my cabinets, so I'm good to go. I've turned the canner on canning, and as soon as it comes to a full rolling boil, that's when I start my timing, not before. And then I'll clean up my mess and put away my things. I really only had 4 extra tomatoes that I blanched, and I'm going to make a small batch of stewed tomatoes tonight. And then I did have, out of that big container, the black container that I started with, this is what's left. So with the tomatoes that are over there and these, I'm going to do another 7 quarts of whole tomatoes as soon as I can. I'm trying to time this, how long it's going to take me after work, because yeah, it's a long process. But if I can do this and have leftovers and not have to think about dinner, it's doable. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. Okay. So I just figured out the timing, and this is totally doable. Cleaned up all my dishes. I think you can do this after work in less than 2 hours. You can have your tomatoes in the jars, in the canner, in about an hour. Have them washed up and ready to go. And means I won't have to film next time. I can do this after work. So I'm super excited because I had an appointment and got off early. So I was able to get home and start this project. So I hope this inspires you to step outside the box you might be in. And if you're concerned about what's going on in the world and how things are headed, you might want to be in control of your food because you don't want somebody else controlling what you can and can't have. And the other thing, canned tomatoes, it's one variety. It's the same flavor. You don't get that homegrown taste. They rush the ripening. I don't know how they do it when they're canning, but I feel like they probably rush them to ripen, and it's a mass production. So you're getting better quality when you do it yourself. I don't like to eat processed unless I process it. So hopefully you will be inspired to do the same. And if you already do that, please leave me a comment in the comment section. Share this on your social media and let other people know this is super easy. It is doable wherever and whatever you're doing. I work a full-time job outside the home, and when I come home, I still take care of the garden. I still do those things. And if you set yourself up for success the night before, it's a no-brainer. So I say not tomorrow probably, but the day after tomorrow, I'll be canning up the rest of those tomatoes. And what it gets too far gone, I will cut them in half and put them on the dehydrator for sun-dried tomatoes, which are fantastic. And I'm just going to store them, vacuum seal them in the jar, in a half-gallon jar, so they're ready to go whenever I want to rehydrate them a little and get the salt off and put them in olive oil. So, all right, guys. As always, I'll be back when this is done. It hasn't come to a boil yet, but when that is all done and the timing is over, you're going to open the lid and let them rest in the canner. Doesn't really cool them off, but that's the instructions. You always want to follow the guidelines put forth for you you can get the stuff online. I like to have hard copies of things that I'm really trying to, because if the internet goes away for whatever reason, you can't find your phone, you can't remember, whatever the reason is, this is your backup. So the backup to the backup. And I love this. So I've got resources on my phone, on my computer, but I've also got several hard copies of different things that I do to be self-reliant and self-sufficient as much as possible. All right. And it is preparedness month this month, so let's get prepping for November. Oh, scary. Okay, guys, so it went for the full 45 minutes. Super excited. And then once it was done, I took the lid off the canner, and you're going to see tomatoes, anything you raw pack is going to float. So when you see this, don't be alarmed. It will settle back down because there's air in those tomatoes as well as juice and everything else. And so we're going to take these out of the canner. I'm excited. And then and I don't tip the jars only because, well, don't tip the jars. The water will evaporate off the lids, or you can dab it off with a paper towel. The seals on the lids themselves are not down yet. So, but look at that. Look at that. I'm super excited. So when these all calm down, they will move back down the jar. And the only way around that is to par cook them or do tomatoes in their own juice, which is a really, really long process. I just didn't have time for it today. So we have 7 quarts of whole tomatoes, a little bit of siphoning, which is expected anytime I do tomatoes. I will have, it doesn't matter if it's water bath product or it's pressure canned, you get a teeny bit. Tomatoes heat up, and they heat up big time. So these will sit here till tomorrow morning. I'll take the rings off. I will wash and label them the month and year that I can them, and I'll probably put which garden they came out of just so I remember. But yes, and that they were Roma's, all these seeds were free. So from free seeds, so if somebody wants to give you seeds, see if they're viable. I literally put those seeds in a paper towel to see if I was going to get any kind of germination because they'd been expired for a couple of years. I planted a bunch of them. You guys probably followed that, and they all germinated, every one of them. So I got all these tomatoes. Now I did lose, I think I lost a few of them. See, you can just dab that extra You just want to be careful not to mess with your jars. You don't want to tip your jar, because if you tip it and a little piece of tomato product gets up under the lid, it could impede the seal. These will seal down pretty quickly, and we'll have whole tomatoes for our shelf, for our pantry shelf. And I will be doing another full batch here pretty quick. Probably day after tomorrow, I'll do another 7 quarts. So we'll have 12 or 14 quart, 12, 14 quarts of whole tomatoes to use, whether we're using them for dice, we're using them for soup, we're using whatever we decide we want to use them for. They're going to be right there and available. So we're prepping ahead. And if I keep getting tomatoes, I'm going to do another run of them, so I can have whatever I need on the shelf, because I do use a lot of diced tomatoes. So these can be in place of diced tomatoes as well. Just take some scissors and cut them up as you pull them out of the jar. All right, guys, I can't wait to see you next time for another delicious recipe, probably using some stewed tomatoes somewhere along the line. Don't forget that 4 Jars Lids is available for you to get a 10% discount. I believe if you order $50 or $60, and you get free shipping. So you can stock your arsenal with all the supplies you need by making sure you don't have to have a water bath canner like this. You can use just a stock pot, as long as you can cover that with an inch of water, or 2 inches, an inch to 2 inches of water. You have a water bath canner. I would just caution you to put something between the bottom, because these have racks on the bottom, or they're safe to have them the jar sitting right on the heat element. You can take these rings and make a bottom. I've actually taken a bar mop and put it down in the bottom of the canner or the pot and can that way. So don't think you have to have expensive equipment, because you don't need it to get yourself started. I hope that you try this, and I hope you'll leave me a comment and let me know. And if you're not a subscriber, you need to subscribe and share this video. It really helps my channel out, and I so appreciate you guys. So I hope that you enjoyed this. You are going to get floaters when you can, raw packed, any kind of vegetable, and tomatoes are notorious. So just go ahead and do it. They're delicious.